It's nice being with you once again. This is Dartszone. My name is Joaquin Dada, and thanks for taking out time to watch this program, whether on YouTube or on Facebook or any other platform that you have this program available. We do appreciate your viewership. For those watching or joining us for the very first time, you deserve to know what this program is all about. Dartszone is a forum for every lover of darts, whether you're an administrator, a player, whether you're a fan, an enthusiast, or even a first timer in darts. You could even be a novice. This program is definitely for you. This program offers the opportunity for all of us to hype our beloved sports, our idols, and even here we discuss critical issues relating to darts, especially professional darts. So let's share our comments or anything about that. Let's do that. Let's share it. Let's get to meet one another on this forum. And it's not about me here in the studio. It's not about Joaquin Dada. It's about you at home, or you that are watching this program. It's all about you. Okay, we'll take a break here, and when we come back, we'll go straight into the business of today. I got something big for you, and make sure you don't go away. Welcome back. Today I have somebody here with me. You know, for some time I've been talking about we want guests, we want someone to join me here, and I have Emmanuel here. Emmanuel, it's nice having you here.
Thank you, sir. I'm honored to be here. It's a nice program, and it's good to be here, be a part of it.
Oh, sure. That is Emmanuel. Actually, there's something unique about Emmanuel. We told you that Dartszone is for everybody. Sure, Emmanuel is a novice, if we call him a novice. But he's got so much to talk about, and you get to hear him. And if you want to contribute to this program, it's very good. It's short, it's an easy way of doing that. And one of the ways you can do that to contribute to this program is to just go to Facebook, search for Dartszone on Facebook. The Dartszone is spelled D-A-R-T-S-Z-O-N-E. Dartszone. D-A-R-T-S-Z-O-N-E on Facebook. Search for it, like it, and what? Put your comments on so many of the posts we have there. Or if it's a question, let's get to hear your question. And you can also go on Twitter and look for, not Dartszone this time on Twitter, go and look for Ascent TV on Twitter. It's A-N-S-E-N-N-T-V. A-S-S-E-N-N-T-V. Go and look for Ascent TV on Twitter, and whenever you get any comment on Twitter that you leave on Ascent TV, please put hashtag Dartszone. Hashtag Dartszone. And with that, we will be able to get to speak with you. Quick do a rundown about what we're going to be doing today. Remember that this program is recorded here in Nigeria, so we'll be discussing something unique about Nigerian dance, something that is happening in Nigeria, and that is the federation elections. The federation elections. Since that is a sport that has a federation in the Ministry of Sports, we will be taking our time to be discussing the federation election. Another thing we'll be discussing today is what? The Premier League. Today is Thursday. Remember, the last 3-4 months, every Thursday we have actually been enjoying. We've been enjoying the Premier League of darts, and we've gotten now to the playoffs, and that is going to happen later today. And remember one thing, that we have the 4 qualifiers for the playoffs, and that is who? Mighty Michael Van Geel, we call him the Green Machine. He made it to the playoffs. It was expected. If he didn't make it to the playoffs, then that is when there will be so much to talk about it. We also have Gary Anderson. Gary Anderson is pleading number 2. If he didn't make it to the playoffs, they will begin to ask questions. And we also have Snakebites. Peter Snakebite writes, I love He's somebody who everybody loves to see. He's so colorful. He's so exciting watching him. You know, he is as beautiful as I will describe him. He's as beautiful as a peacock. He made it to the playoffs, and surprisingly, Phil Taylor did make it to the playoffs. We never expected he would achieve it. But man, you never write Phil Taylor off. You never write Phil Taylor off. He made it to the playoffs, and the four of them will be slugging it out this evening to determine who will be crowned the Premier Darts League champion. Do we have a preference? I do not just want to take a chance. I do not want to predict. Even though I love every one of them, appreciate all of them, appreciate their contribution to professional darts. And someday we'll have the opportunity of maybe meeting them here in our studios. We'll bring one of them here in our studios, or if we can't get them here in our studios, we'll talk to them somehow, and we'll really give you the opportunity to really interact with them. But to the four of them, let me wish them the best of luck. Also within the week, Phil Taylor did contribute $20,000 to a sick boy, and we want to discuss that noble act. And these are some of the things we'll be discussing on our program today. And sure, Emmanuel will have so much to talk about some of these things. Okay, let's go into the business of today. Emmanuel, it's nice having you here.
Thank you once again. I'm glad to be here.
I'm sure the people will say, a novice. Are you truly a novice when it comes to that?
Well, truly, I am a novice when it comes to that, but that is a sport, and I'm a lover of sports generally, so I shouldn't be the greatest novice here.
Yes, it's nice having you. The first thing, how much of exposure have you watched darts? Have you watched a video? What are the limitations? Because somehow, is it exposure? What has limited your exposure to the game of darts?
So I would say that I'm a Nigerian. In Nigeria here, darts is not one of our favorite sports, so we don't get to see darts a lot. I've only seen a couple of videos, maybe on YouTube or on Super Sports or something. So that's my exposure to darts is really very limited.
So I want to use you as maybe let us assume as my guinea pig guide here. What are those critical challenges? Say your exposure that really has affected this exposure. Is there a way you can outline it so that for those who will be watching this program later, especially for administrators, they can address them?
Well, I'll say it's all up to every sport has a federation, every sport has administrators. It's all up to these administrators to make darts, to be something that the typical Nigerian would love to watch. We need to have more competitions. We need to have more avenues to really be exposed to this sport. So I would just say that's why I haven't heard so much about that or haven't been exposed to that a lot.
Okay, now thank God you've talked about the federation, so that it's good. Let's begin to talk about the federation. Right now, we know the Minister of Sports here in Nigeria is trying to do some kind of tweaking and adjustment and restructuring when it comes to administration of sports. And the critical area he's currently working on is the federation election. They've released a guideline and they have said there will be no government nominee for the federation elections, and not only will there be no government nominee for the federation elections, they will also they just brought us some critical guidelines that you must go down to your local, if I use our, go down to the states, and at the state level is where you start the whole process before you can come to the federal level and you can contest for election. One critical point for me, which tends to bother me, is at the state level, have you heard of any federation or any state association that has actually done election before anybody got onto the executive level of that state sports association? Let us not just narrow it down to that alone.
Thank you, Mr. Joachim. So basically, like so many things in Nigeria, leadership has always been a problem. Elections is one of those times where you see a lot of rancors, and it just shows you that our house is never in order. Now we're doing these elections now, and there's all of the discrepancy between the federal level, the state level, where our aspirants, where are they coming from? Well, I live in Lagos State, Nigeria, and I've never heard anything about, state elections on that, or even, things happening for that matter. So it's difficult to tell whether we will get it right. But it's the elections. Let's see how we arrange our house, put our house in order, and because if you get the leadership right, then the sports can thrive in Nigeria.
So that means at the state level, we have witnessed what I call government appointees. How can people who are government appointees, how can they now go out there? If you're a government appointee, even first of all, the first question we should ask ourselves, when we say this is a state sport association, let us not narrow it only to that. This is a state sports association. Who are those that comprise a state sports association? Is there a way you can throw light on it? Are there clubs who are affiliated of the sports association, or how do they get their membership? All of that. Sometimes I really don't get it. Well,
that's the quagmire we find ourselves in Nigeria here. So if you say that there are state associations, like you said, so who comprises all of these things? Do they have associations in schools? Do they have in the local communities? Do they have in the different states? I mean, where are these people coming from? If you call them government appointees, then it means that that's even why we are in this mess in the first place, because when you always have government appointees, then they have no stake at the local government or, grassroots level, and that's the problem that we are in right now.
Yes, you've used the critical word, the word stake. Today we just see everybody coming out and say, oh, I want to contest election. I want to contest election. I want to go to the election. I don't really play that. I don't really discuss that. I also discuss chess. And when it comes to the word stake, the best way of defining stake or something like that, or stake tells you about a value. You understand? If it's the odds, it's the value you put, is the possible loss you will incur in case things go wrong. So you've used the word stake. Some of these people that are at the various state sports association, not only that, you talked about stake. What do they have to lose if things are wrong? Do they lose anything other than?
Well, isn't that why this whole thing is even much more troubling? They really have no stake in the grassroots or in local sport. They are government appointees. Whatever happens, they go back to their government offices and enjoy their life. This thing doesn't have, whatever happens in the sport has nothing to do with whether they will be paid their salaries or their bonuses or compensations or not. So they really don't have any stake in the sport. The people who really have the stake are the grassroots. Children who would love to learn this sport, schools where this sport are supposed to be developed, communities where this sport are supposed to be used as youth development strategies. So those are really the people who will feel the brunt of this whole thing.
Let's just talk a little bit about finance. Most of the time, when you listen to previous sports administrators, all they talk about is, oh, government has not given us money for this, government has not put money for this, government has not, everything is government, finance. Especially when it comes to that, only God knows. If you ask the former board, why didn't they perform? See, no money. Mm-hmm. What do you think, what is the new thing that is being put out there that will change it?
Well, so like everything in life, finance is not your first priority. Do you even have a plan? So we need to go back to all these federations and states associations and really ask, it's not just about asking for money all of the time. Do they even have a plan? Do they have a budget? Do they have, proposed programs and agendas that they want to execute within the space of a year or whatever their season looks like? If they don't even have that thing, then finance is just always the cheap excuse to always use. So we really need to go back. I hate to say it, but this drawing board that we always say we go back to, we really need to go back to that drawing board and get it right. If our plans and our programs are done right, then it's easy to now approach the government. It's easy to now tackle the government side of it and say, oh, give us finance. But the way it is all set up right now, even if you give them finance, somebody will probably just loot that money or something. So it's really...
Because you talked about budget, and the next minute you say you create a budget, you submit the budget to government. Should government be the only one who should underwrite the cost of sports? Should government be the only one? Should it be government alone that you go and submit your budget to? Because if you develop a budget, there must be a strategy in the budget that you have articulated of how you're going to raise the funds to finance your budget. So don't you think there's something wrong somewhere? Don't you think we're not doing these things right?
So I think that's a big point there, and it's how will I put it now? So it's just a shoddy job, a lazy job. Every time an association always has to say, oh, the reason why we didn't perform is because the government has not released money. Like you said, when you're drawing up your budget, everyone needs to think outside of the box. You can't just keep going back to government and government and government. And in fact, when you keep doing this, that's why we have government interference. That's why we have government appointees, because if it's government that is financing you, then they have a right to also have a say in how you eventually run your sport. So there are other avenues, there are other opportunities aside from government. I'll give you an example. The NNN League, you know, one of the grassroots football development, they've just signed it's about a 5 billion naira deal with a new company called People TV. You know, right now they already have like 100 million of that first installment of that deal, and they're already running, which means that that's not government, that's private sector, that's private sector partnership that is coming into the sport to develop the sport. That's a cue that the Darts Federation also needs to look at and say, hey, who else, you know, can sponsor these things? How else can we, you know, run our sport aside from the government?
Yes, it's nice. Sometimes if you stay and you just talk about federation, talk about government, it's just going to be all complaints and complaints and complaints. I hope some of these administrators that are canvassing that they want to get into position, especially many of the sports, especially even including that, we really need. Before even we go, there's the issue of manifesto. A lot of I want to run, but today, have they articulated their manifesto? Have they presented their manifesto? And to who have they presented their manifesto? Some of these things I don't understand. Why do we keep on getting things wrong, especially when it comes to Nigeria? You know, this content will be shown all over the world. So it's good we educate the world about what is going on right here.
Well, so that's really our problem here. We really need to just sit down and decide for once, you know, to put our hearts, you know, right and do what is right. Come to an international standard and say, oh, we really want to do it right. So like you said, the elections are coming. I haven't even heard of the names of those who want to contest for the elections. Like you also said, manifesto. What are their plans? What do they plan to do? How do they plan to be different, you know, from what the other boards have done? What will be different, you know, from 2017 and going into 2018? Those are the kind of plans that we need to see. And we need to stop, you know, voting or canvassing for votes based on, you know, maybe the state this person comes from, the party this person comes from. We need to keep it at, oh, this person who is coming into this office, you know, what is his or her antecedent, you know, what is he or she bringing to the table, you know, what is this person's plan and manifesto, and it's on the basis of that, you know, that we should be getting these people into office.
Yeah, one critical argument some of these sportsmen have is that many of these sports are not getting it right because those who administer the sport were never really involved in the sport. They never participated in the sport. They never loved the sport. They just get into the sport for the sake of it. But I remember that in England, during the disagreement between the WDC and the BDO, that the British Dart Organization and the World Dart Organization, was that there was this argument who should control that. But that is not the point we're going to. After that, the WDC, when they changed their name to the PDC, they were being administered and managed by former darters, people who participated in that. all of a sudden, everybody who really had a background in that had to leave the stage, and they allowed a man called Barry Hand, who owns Matron, a man who is known for his pedigree in sport, to come on board and to become the chairman of the PDC. Within the last 20, 25 years, the PDC has grown from its obscurity up to now today. They are like the biggest organizer of that in the world. Any televised that, look, PDC has taken that to a level that no other organization, even the World Dart Federation, the governing body for that in the world, has not even been able to do. We watch more televised darts courtesy of the PDC and the work of the PDC. More and more people are getting interested in that in Europe, in Scandinavia, in Asia, in Australia, even in America. They're going to hold, in July, they're going to hold the Las Vegas, the tournament in Las Vegas, or what that they call the Las Vegas Grand Prix. So that is it. So now, I don't understand. Is it compulsory? If a man who never got in, who never played that, came to the PDC and has taken that from almost zero, or not, I won't say zero, but from right there in the 30 percentile, all the way now to 100, and that is growing at the speed of I don't know, like wildfire. Why then in Nigeria? How then do we now come to Nigeria and begin to canvass this kind of argument that, oh, team, you have played that, team, you have been involved in a particular sport, you cannot, in quote, manage the sport, or you cannot contribute to the sport at the governance level? I do not understand.
Well, so thank you. So that's not very, it's not very true. I mean, there are two sides to the coin. Yes, you need to have someone who is, you know, quote and unquote, an expert at the sport. You see how, I mean, it's a general phenomenon where you have ex-athletes, ex-sportsmen and women also, you know, after they retire, come into the sport and become administrators, and they do well. But that's not to say that people who also do not have a solid background, you know, in the sport, that doesn't mean that they can't also become professionals. It doesn't mean they can't become administrators at the sport. It just depends on wherever you're coming from. And you already used a good case in point, you know, for the PDC and the WDO. So basically, I think that they all, you just need to find someone who really has a passion for this sport. The person does not necessarily have to be a professional in the sports or something. You just need to find somebody who has a passion for the sport, who really wants to see the sport developed. And whether or not you've played this, have you taken time, you know, to study the sports? Do you have a stake? You know, do you have something at stake, you know, in the sport? Do you really have your heart in it? If you really have your heart in it, then you can really pour yourself into the sport and ensure that the sport develops. I think that we should not limit ourselves in Nigeria to waiting till the time when we have ex-athletes, you know, come into the sport. We really need just to find that person who is really passionate about this and also knowledgeable about the sport, has all of the, you know, has all of the talent and the skill and everything to bring up the sport. That's really the person we should look out for.
With that point you have just raised, I remember the former chairman of the Dart Federation of Nigeria did not, throughout the 4 years he was in seat, he never attended one congress at the world level. So let us not narrow it just to him. Let us look at all our sports generally. When our sports administrators refuse to go and be part and parcel of the global body that governs that sport, or they are waiting for government to sponsor them to go and participate at that level, don't you think there's something wrong somewhere?
Definitely there's something wrong. That's why we are still where we are. We need to expose ourselves to international standard. We need to, that's where they need to be. We can't keep put ourselves in a local champion, you know, position.
Before they can go to those kind of events, they must get government sponsorship.
Exactly. Then we go back to government sponsorship and government financing, which shouldn't always be a limitation. There has to always be, a wide array of sponsorship opportunities for all of these things.
So will you join those canvassing that government should generally pull out their funds from? They should stop getting involved in sports. If they want to get involved in sports, they should take all the finances to school sports.
No, I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, what would make sense is, how to marry, all of the different, so you should have government sponsorship, you should have private sponsorships. I mean, you should have, different stakeholders coming together to really pull the sport up. So it's not about leaving it to one or the other. It's about everybody coming, to the table too. But it's really on the administrators not to limit their scope, not to limit their understanding, not to limit their opportunities. It's really for the administrator to throw their arms wide open, to the different opportunities out there.
Okay, we'll take a break right here. When we'll come back, we'll go and begin to discuss the Premier League, and we'll discuss what Phil Taylor really did concerning the donation. And at this point, we'll come back very soon. Okay, welcome back. Okay, Emmanuel is still here with me, and this time we want to talk about the Premier League. The Premier League seems to be one of the biggest televised events that you have. One of the nice things about the Premier League, because it's not a one-off event, it is a series of events that started sometime in February, first week of February, and it's gone all the way till May, which happens annually. And somehow, it has given us an opportunity, so much content on television, and a lot of people have enjoyed this year's Premier League. The top four have proven why they are top four. We've witnessed 9 darters, we've witnessed so many people throwing 180 as if throwing 180 in the game of darts is just child's play. But we know in those very good old days, for you to achieve 180 in darts, you actually will get either a pin, but now it's just like everybody, if you don't hit 180 on your own, because that looks like the bottom line. But beyond that, you see, they've really excited, provided so much entertainment to those of us who love that, and I believe that very soon you will get more and more acquainted and you become a lover of that, like us and many other people in the world. Now, today is what we call the playoffs. And the playoffs is actually what we call it the semi-finals. When you hear of a league and you listen to semi-finals, they don't normally talk. But that is why that is unique. Very beautiful and lots. So it's a playoffs, and the players are going to be paired, and they will go into the semi-finals. 4 players. That is Gary Addison, not in order of performance or in order of how they qualified for the playoff, but you have Gary Addison, who is currently the world number 2 on the PDC ranking. We have the Green Machine, Michael Van Gerwen, a great player. He's just about 27 years, and this year he's made so much money out of that, about £1.7 million. And that is no joke, man. Anytime I think of that, I wonder what am I doing behind the camera? Whether it's not better for me to go and spend all my time in front of the ball and let me get the little share of such money. And we have Phil Taylor, 16-time world champion, a great ambassador for the sport. He's done so much for the sport. Earlier this year, he announced that he was going to retire from that at the end of this year. Just about 2-3 weeks or 4 weeks down the line, he's told us that Barry Hunt has convinced him that he should not do that he has so much to give to the sport. I agree with Barry. Phil has so much to give to the sport, whether as a player or as an administrator. But Phil has so much. This Premier League, he was right there, almost at the bottom most of the time. But to our surprise, he made it to the top 4. He shows he still got some fighting power and he fought his way up to the top 4, and today he is going to prove whether he can pocket the Premier League. There's this argument once, they said, oh, between Van Geeuwen and Phil Taylor, who is a greater player? For me, I believe, let us wait with time. Phil Taylor is about 55, thereabout, and Van Geeuwen is just 27. So let us wait for Van Geeuwen to get to 55. Let's see whether he will pocket, he will pocket the World Championship trophy for 16 times, that's 16 times. So the point is, today the playoffs is going to be big, it's going to be exciting, it's going to take place at the O2 Arena. Now the question is, when the top 4 players in any sport meet, what should those who will follow, what should they expect?
Well, so because you know I'm already a novice, so this is a bit tricky one. But you know, I took a quick look.
The question, why I'm asking you this question, because you're a novice, I've tried to lay a foundation and to see whether I have created a balls of excitement in you.
Definitely, yes, definitely. And you know, I was just going to say, you know, one of the things I picked out, you know, was this guy called Phil Taylor. And now that I know he's age 54, you know, that's an old man, you know, still when it comes to sport, but I'm sure he's competing highly. And so I was interested, you know, when you said, it was interesting when you said, you know, he started at the bottom of the table, you know, for this season, you know, but that's it. That's where experience counts. So I am not surprised, you know, that at the end of the day, you know, his experience and his talent are still shown through, and that's why he still made it to the top 4. You know, I just did a quick glance and I saw that, you know, this guy, you know, started winning the championship from like the year 2000, and throughout the 2000s, you know, he's typically just won year after year. At least I think I saw something like a 7 or 8 straight years, and he's just been on top. So I am not surprised that he still made it to the playoffs. So for any top 4 in any sport, you know, it's always interesting because those are the superpowers, and that's even when the game gets interesting. When you get to this tail end, you know, the adrenaline is like at a fever pitch, so you're just ready. So I am excited. I would like to watch tonight's game and really see it for myself. I think it's going to be a blockbuster.
The odd man out. The odd man out in the whole pack, the 4 people, the odd man out in the whole pack is Snakebite. Peter Snakebite Wright. He's the only player there that has not won the Premiership. He's the only player there that has not won the World Championship. What do you think would be in his mind, truly? You are the odd one out. You are I won't call him the black sheep. Well, you know,
but first tell me, what has been his performances like in the last couple of seasons or years?
He's been playing well, doing his beats.
Is he one of those guys that gets almost at the edge?
Just of recent, just this year he has beaten the world #1 twice.
Oh.
He has beaten Van Geeuwen twice. And even the last event he beat Van Geeuwen. Van Geeuwen is world #1. We call him the Green Machine. He beat Van Geeuwen 6-0, 6-0. Let me tell you, to beat Van Geeuwen 6-0 is no joke. I can assure you, it is definitely no joke. Van Geeuwen is not described the Green Machine because when it comes to that, the man is a machine. His performance is at another level. Van Geeuwen has divided it. Look, Phil Taylor has defined as presented that as a sport for humans. Van Geeuwen has upped the game. He has presented that his level of performance and his accuracy level, you can only achieve it with a machine. I'm telling you,
I can imagine.
Definitely Van Geeuwen, when he is ready for the game. Peter Wright beat him 6-0. And that is why people will just, look, if Peter Wright gets into his A game today, oh my, the O2 Arena will be in flames. Because his venom, he needs to really go and cook his venom so well that if he puts his fang on any of those players, they should definitely not get out of his pieces. They should not get out of his game. And that is it. In the last 3-4 years, he has just been there, just at the tip, just trying to break in. This year, he finally has beaten Van Given twice. Will this be his year? Will this be his trophy? And if this is his trophy, oh my, it's worth celebrating. Will Van Given...
Well, great. So I think those are the questions, really. So will this be his year, and would this be his trophy? And that is neither here nor there. I'm very weary to join you in celebrating this new guy, because I know that, you know, for some of these guys, you know, it's always easy to celebrate the rookies, those guys coming up, and, you know, I hope it's not going to be a flash in the pan, because I think when it comes to this crunch end of the season, experience will always shine through. So do not put your money on this new guy. I don't know what you even call his name.
His name is Peter Snakebite.
All right, but I will put my name on a Phil Taylor or on a Van Given. You know, exactly. People who have done it consistently over the years. People who have shown that, you know, they are not just a flash in the pan. People who have, you know, done it for a couple of years. You know, those kind of people. I always think that for when it comes to that end, you can beat me one time, twice, but when it comes to like a final, a playoff, I think that I'm just going to put my all into it, and it won't just be that, oh, we struggled through it. I might just like outrun you totally. So I would really like to see this.
Sure. Okay. You know the story of in the Bible of David and Goliath.
Is that what this is?
Are you sure Peter Wright will not be the David?
Also,
and all of those
David and Goliath doesn't.
Will be the Goliath.
David and Goliath doesn't happen so many times. It only happens once, and he's already had his David and Goliath time. He's beaten Van Given twice this season, right? So that's all. Right now, it's going to be the Goliath really showing that, look, I am the Goliath.
Okay. Oh, sure do. That is, look, I'm having a great time right here in the studio. Hope you, for those who watch this video later, I hope you will be enjoying this same excitement that we are enjoying here. But one more thing before we go, we need to discuss is the £20,000 donation that Phil Taylor really donated to a little sick boy, and for his medical treatment, because they said he needed to travel to America for maybe an operation, and the total cost of the operation will be £70,000. And Phil Taylor gave £20,000 and has promised to help raise the remaining £50,000. Look, I just don't understand. You see, will I say, I don't. Why I'm excited is these people always they always show us how it's supposed to be done. How it's supposed to do. You see a great player, he's made so much out of his sport. You see a fan who is sick, who is enjoying it, and there's this hand of fellowship, hand of support, hand of empathy that is being extended to Phil Taylor. Don't you think that's one of the reasons why we always describe such people? Such gestures tend to reinforce the position that a player like Phil Taylor is surely a great player and a great ambassador of the sport.
Thank you. So basically, I mean, that's a fantastic gesture from him, and I don't know what his religion is, you know, I don't know what he does, but I just think that he needs to be applauded for that, and it's exemplary, and it's what other sportsmen, you know, should also, I mean, the likes of Gawain, or what do you call his name? The snake bites. I think those people also should, you know, emulate such. They should be able to raise £70,000, you know, to help that young man, and I think it's
young boy, right?
Yeah, young boy. Yeah, I think it's really, it's worth celebrating. You know, when you've gotten a lot from a sport, it's only natural and it's only human and it's only nice for you to be able to give back, you know, to that community. It doesn't mean that that boy came from his community or something, but because he's gotten a lot from the sport, he's earned a lot of money, accolades, and fame, and now he's giving back, you know, to a young boy. Who knows, that young boy might be another Phil Taylor in the future, and he'll be glad, you know, to look back and say, oh, I helped that boy. And it's something that we all should, you know, as humans aspire, you know, to do, help other people coming along the way.
Should that be a lesson to us here in Nigeria? The only person we've known that has really done something like that is Papilo Kanu in the Kanu Heart Foundation.
True.
But
true.
We don't really see our sportsmen even consider supporting their sports that gave them the fame. Instead, they are agitating for some other cause that only God knows. Don't you think it's a great lesson that our sportsmen in Nigeria should learn from such?
True. I think that it's true. Our sportsmen should definitely come back home and, you know, help the country and help sports development in general. And as you rightly mentioned, Nwankwo Kanu, I know for a certainty, has been heavily involved, you know, in sports development, especially in the grassroots level. He's been all around trying to get people, you know, empowered and also help them, you know, aside from even sports development, even in health, you know, providing surgeries, operations, and all of that, you know. I mean, he was happy to get that same help some years back, and he is definitely happy to give the same help, the same opportunity to other people. So who knows how many Nwankwo Kanus will, you know, also get back in Nigeria. So that's something that we should all emulate, definitely.
Emmanuel, it's nice having you.
Thank you very much. I'm really glad to be on the show.
Okay, that is our program for today. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Hope you've enjoyed this program. And please go to Dartszone, Dartzone on Facebook. Search for it on Facebook, like it, and leave us a comment. Also, you can go on YouTube, go to Ascent TV Space TV. Ascent is spelled ASEN TV Space TV. Like or subscribe to Ascent TV so that you could get to watch many more programs that we offer here on Ascent TV, here from our studios. I'll just leave this quick message with you. Have a blessed Dartszone weekend. See you till next week. Bye for now.